My daughter waited until my wife's casket was in the ground before she said it. We were standing in my living room, the house Linda and I had built together over 35 years, surrounded by people eating finger sandwiches and pretending they weren't relieved the funeral was over. Jessica stood by the fireplace, wine glass in her hand, talking to her husband loud enough for me to hear. "Well, at least now we can finally deal with this place. It's been neglected for years." I was holding a photo of Linda from our wedding day, taken when we were both 23, and I felt something inside me go very still. Marcus responded, checking his phone. Real estate agents said we could list it for $800,000 if we clear it out fast. Market's hot right now. My daughter, my only child, the girl I'd rocked through nightmares and walked down the aisle 3 years ago, looked directly at me and said 5 words that would end our family. "Your comfortable life just ended, Dad." I set down the photo very carefully. "What did you say?" "You heard me. Mom's gone. This house is too much for you. We're selling it and you are moving into assisted living. We've already found a place in Tacoma. It's nice, small, appropriate." The room had gone quiet. "Your mother died 4 hours ago. And you neglected her for the last 2 years, so forgive me if I don't think you deserve to keep living in the house she maintained while you did nothing." I looked at this woman who had Linda's eyes and my stubbornness and absolutely none of the compassion we'd tried to raise her with. "Get out of my house." "It's not your house anymore," she said calmly. "Mom left everything to me. The will's been updated. I have power of attorney. You have 2 weeks to pack." She was lying. I knew she was lying because I'd sat with Linda 3 months ago when we'd redone our estate plan after her stage 4 diagnosis. But standing there in a room full of mourners, looking at my daughter's face as she tried to rob me at my wife's funeral, I made a decision. I would let her think she'd won, right up until the moment I destroyed her. My name is David Morrison. I'm 62 years old. I was a civil engineer for 37 years before I retired to take care of my wife during her cancer treatment. 5 hours after we buried Linda, my daughter announced she was stealing my house and putting me in a nursing home. This is the story of what happened when she discovered that grief doesn't make you weak, it makes you dangerous. I need you to understand something about the last 2 years. Linda was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer 3 weeks after I retired. Stage 4, inoperable. They gave her 6 months. She lived for 23. And I spent every single one of those months watching the woman I loved disappear piece by piece, while our daughter visited once a month and texted me articles about aggressive treatment options she'd found on Google. "Dad, have you looked into clinical trials? Dad, I read about a doctor in Mexico who's having success. Dad, maybe if you'd caught it earlier." Never, "Dad, how are you holding up?" Never, "Dad, I'm coming to help." Never, "Dad, I love you and I'm sorry this is happening." Just criticism from a distance and silence when I needed her most. The night Linda died, I called Jessica from the hospital. "She's gone," I said. "When's the funeral?" she asked. Not, "I'm so sorry." Not, "Are you okay?" Just logistics. "Saturday, 2 p.m., St. Michael's. We'll be there. Marcus wants to talk to you about the house situation after." I hung up and sat with my wife's body for 3 more hours, holding her hand, and realized I didn't know my daughter at all anymore. The funeral was small. Linda had outlived most of her family. My brother came from Denver, a few neighbors, some of Linda's book club friends who'd visited her during treatment, while Jessica sent thinking of you cards from San Diego. I gave the eulogy, talked about how Linda had taught elementary school for 30 years, how she'd fostered 6 children before we had Jessica, how she made the house a home with her garden and her cooking and her ability to make anyone feel welcomed. I saw Jessica check her phone twice during my speech. At the reception afterward, I overheard her in the kitchen talking to Marcus. "He looks terrible. This is going to be easier than we thought. You sure the will's updated? Mom and I talked about it 6 months ago. Everything comes to me. He doesn't need all this space. It's excessive. And you're sure he won't fight?" Jessica laughed. "He can barely function. Look at him. He hasn't changed out of his bathrobe in weeks." That part was true. I'd stopped shaving in October, stopped cooking real meals. Linda was my reason for getting up, and without her, most days I didn't see the point. But I'd also stopped sleeping. Because while Jessica thought I was falling apart, I was actually documenting every conversation, every text message, every email where she discussed taking my house before my wife was even dead. 3 days after the funeral, Jessica showed up with a moving company. I answered the door in the same bathrobe she had mentioned, unshaven, exhausted. "Dad, we talked about this. 2 weeks. You need to start packing." "The will hasn't been read yet." "It doesn't matter. We need to get the house on the market before interest rates change. I brought boxes." She walked past me into the house, started opening cabinets in the kitchen, pulling out Linda's dishes. "These can be donated. You won't need full plate settings at Meadowbrook." "Meadowbrook?" "The assisted living facility in Tacoma. I put down a deposit. You move in next month." I watched her pack my wife's dishes into boxes labeled "Donate" in black marker. "Your mother loved those dishes. They're just things, Dad. They were our wedding gift from her parents. And now they're going to Goodwill because you can't take care of a whole house anymore. This is for your own good." I stood there in my bathrobe and let her pack, because my phone in my pocket was recording every word. That night, I called my attorney, Robert Chen. I'd known him for 20 years. He'd handled our estate planning, our business contracts, all of it. "David, I'm so sorry about Linda. How are you holding up?" "Jessica's trying to take the house. Says Linda left everything to her. She's having me declared incompetent and putting me in assisted living." Silence. "Linda updated your will 3 months ago, David. Everything goes to you. Jessica gets nothing until you die. And even then, it's in a trust she can't access until she's 50. "Why? Linda didn't tell you?" "She found out Jessica had taken out credit cards in her name last year. $40,000 in debt Linda had to pay off. She was furious, said she wouldn't leave anything to someone who'd steal from her while she was dying." I sat down hard. "Jessica stole from Linda? You didn't know?" "Linda never told me. She didn't want you to worry, but she made sure Jessica couldn't do it again. The will is ironclad. Jessica has no claim to anything." I looked around my house, at the boxes Jessica had packed, at the donate labels. "She's already listed the house with a realtor. She's telling everyone I'm incompetent. Do you want to press charges?" I thought about my daughter going through Linda's kitchen like a scavenger, about her laughing at the funeral reception about how easy this would be, about her stealing from her own mother while she was dying of cancer. "Not yet," I said. "I want her to think she's winning first." For 2 weeks, I played along. Let Jessica pack the house. Let her throw away Linda's things. Let her measure rooms for staging. I shuffled around in my bathrobe, looking confused and defeated. "Dad, did you take your pills today?" I don't remember." "This is exactly why Meadowbrook is the right choice. You need supervision." She'd brought a real estate photographer, had him take pictures of every room while I sat in the corner like a piece of furniture she was planning to donate. The listing went live on a Tuesday. Charming 3-bedroom in Bellevue, original hardwood, mountain views, estate sale, must move quickly. That night, she came over with paperwork. "I need you to sign these. Transfer of deed, power of attorney, medical directive." "What are they for?" "They give me the authority to handle everything. For your own good, Dad. You're not thinking clearly." I picked up the pen, let it hover over the signature line. "Your mother would want this?" "Mom and I talked about it extensively. This is what she wanted." I signed.
all of them. Every single document she put in front of me. And I watched her face light up like she'd won the lottery. "Thank you, Dad. You're making the right choice." She left with the documents, and I picked up my phone and called Robert. "She just committed fraud. I have it all on recording. Every conversation, every forgery, every lie." "What do you want to do?" I looked around the house Linda and I had built, at the empty rooms where my daughter had erased 35 years of my life in 2 weeks. I want to take everything from her. Everything. The lawsuit hit her 3 days later. Fraud, elder abuse, theft, forgery, along with recordings of every conversation, copies of the real will, bank statements showing Jessica's credit card debt in Linda's name, and a petition to get back every single item she'd taken or sold. She showed up at my door at 7 a.m., Marcus behind her. I answered in jeans and a button-down shirt, clean-shaven, clear-eyed. "What the fuck, Dad?" "Language your mother wouldn't approve. You set me up." "No, you set yourself up. I just documented it." Marcus pushed forward. "You can't prove any of this." "I can prove all of it. 6 weeks of recordings, the real will, bank records showing your wife stole $40,000 from her dying mother, the forged power of attorney documents, all of it." Jessica's face had gone white. "Mom wouldn't. She told me. Your mother found out you'd stolen from her. She changed the will 3 months before she died. Everything comes to me. You get nothing. And now you've committed multiple felonies trying to steal it anyway." "I was trying to help." "You were trying to rob me at your mother's funeral. There's a difference." I handed her a document. "This is a restraining order. You're not allowed within 500 feet of me or this house. You have 48 hours to return everything you took or sold, or I press criminal charges and you go to prison." She started crying. "Dad, please, I'm your daughter." "My daughter died the same day her mother did. I don't know who you are anymore." I closed the door. And then I went to the bathroom and threw up until there was nothing left. Because here's what Jessica didn't understand. I hadn't wanted to do this. I'd wanted my daughter to show up at the funeral and hold me when I cried. I'd wanted her to help me pack Linda's clothes and tell me stories about her mom. I'd wanted her to be the person Linda and I had raised. And instead, she tried to rob me while I was drowning in grief. So I stopped drowning and started destroying her instead. But it didn't feel like victory. It felt like losing my entire family in the same month. I started seeing a therapist 2 weeks after the lawsuit. Dr. Patricia Hayes specializes in grief counseling. First session, I told her everything. My wife died, my daughter tried to steal my house. I'm suing her, and I think I'm having a breakdown. "Why do you think you're having a breakdown?" "Because I wake up crying. I can't eat. I lost 18 pounds in 6 weeks, and I'm destroying my only child, and I don't know if I'm doing the right thing or if grief has made me cruel." She was quiet for a moment. "David, what would Linda want you to do?" I thought about that. Linda was kind. She believed in forgiveness. She would have wanted me to work it out with Jessica. But Linda also changed her will to cut Jessica out after Jessica stole from her. What does that tell you? That even Linda had limits. Exactly. Kindness doesn't mean letting people hurt you. It means setting boundaries. Your daughter crossed every boundary. You're not cruel. You're protecting yourself. It feels like revenge. Maybe it's both, and maybe that's okay. The court proceedings took 4 months. Jessica's attorney tried every defense. My client was acting out of concern for her father's well-being. Robert played the recordings. Jessica's voice, clear as day. "At least now we can deal with this place." Marcus, real estate agent, said 800,000. Jessica, "Your comfortable life just ended, Dad." The judge's face didn't change, but I saw her write something down. They tried to argue I'd been manipulating the evidence. Robert showed dated emails going back 6 months where Jessica discussed handling the estate before Linda had even died. They tried to claim Linda had promised Jessica the house. Robert produced the will, Linda's signature, 3 witnesses, all dated 3 months before her death. And then he played the recording from when Jessica had me sign the forged power of attorney documents. I need you to sign these." Now, the judge asked if I'd read the documents before signing. "No, Your Honor. My daughter told me it was what my dying wife wanted. I trusted her." "And were you of sound mind when you signed?" "I was grieving, but I understood what I was doing. I was testing her. I wanted to see if she'd really go through with stealing from me." Jessica's attorney objected. The judge overruled. "This case is more than just property. It's about a daughter who exploited her father's grief to commit fraud. I've seen the evidence. I've heard the recordings. There's no defense here." She found Jessica guilty on all counts, ordered her to return everything she'd taken or sold, fined her $60,000, put her on probation for 3 years, and issued a permanent restraining order keeping her 500 feet from me at all times. I sat in the courtroom and felt absolutely nothing. But that night, I dreamed about Linda. She was in our kitchen, making coffee like she used to. "You won," she said. "I destroyed our daughter. She destroyed herself. You just refused to be destroyed with her. I don't know if you would have wanted this." Linda smiled. "I changed my will, David. I knew what she was. I just hoped she'd prove me wrong." "She didn't. She didn't." I woke up crying and realized I'd been crying in my sleep, because winning felt exactly like losing.
Jessica tried to contact me 6 weeks after the trial. Left a voicemail. "Dad, I'm sorry. I know I messed up, but you're my father and I need help. Marcus left me. The legal fees bankrupted us. I lost my job because of the conviction. Please, can we just talk?" I listened to it 12 times. Called Dr. Hayes. "She's asking for help. Should I? What do you want to do?" "I want my daughter back. The one I raised. The one who loved her mother." "Is that who's asking for help right now?" "I don't know." "Then your answer is no. Not until you know." I didn't call her back, and the guilt almost killed me. 8 months after the trial, I got a letter, handwritten, Jessica's looping script. "Dad, I've been in therapy for 6 months. Court mandated at first, then because I actually needed it. My therapist asked me to write down every time I remembered Mom being sick, every time you asked for help and I made excuses, every time I chose convenience over showing up. It took me 3 weeks to finish the list. I found 67 times I should have been there and wasn't. 67 times I left you alone with her dying. 67 times I failed as a daughter. And then when she died, instead of grieving with you, I tried to take everything you had left. I don't know why. My therapist says it was guilt, that stealing the house was easier than admitting I'd abandoned you both. I'm not writing to ask for forgiveness. I don't deserve it. I'm writing because I need you to know Mom didn't tell me she changed the will. She didn't tell me she found the credit cards. She just stopped calling, stopped asking me to visit. And I was so relieved, because watching her dying was hard and not going was easier. I'm so sorry, Dad, for all of it. I don't expect to hear from you. I just needed you to know I finally understand what I did. Jessica." I read it 40 times, showed it to Dr. Hayes. "What do you think?" she asked. "I think she finally gets it. Does that change how you feel?" "No, because getting it doesn't undo it." "So what do you want to do?" I looked at the letter. I want to believe she's changed, but I don't trust her anymore, and I don't know if I ever will again. 1 year after Linda died, I sold the house. Not because Jessica had won, because everywhere I looked I saw my wife dying. I moved to a condo downtown, smaller, easier, new. And I took Linda's ashes to the place where we got engaged 36 years ago, a lookout point on Mount Rainier, and scattered them where she'd said yes. "I hope I did right by you," I told her, or told the wind, or told myself. I drove home and found another letter from Jessica, this one shorter. I heard you sold the house. I'm glad. You deserve a fresh start. I'm working as a server now, paying off the fines, living in a studio apartment. It's not much, but it's mine, and for the first time in my life, I earned it instead of taking it. I love you, Dad. Even if you never speak to me again, I want you to know that. I put the letter in a drawer with the other one. Didn't respond. Couldn't. Because I didn't know what to say to the daughter who tried to rob me while I grieved her mother. 18 months after Linda died, Jessica showed up at my grief support group. I didn't know she'd be there. The facilitator introduced her. This is Jessica. She's joining us to process the loss of her mother and other family relationships. We made eye contact across the circle. She looked different, thinner, older, tired in a way that came from inside. When it was her turn to share, she said, "My mom died 18 months ago, and I didn't process it because I was too busy stealing from my dad. I destroyed my family because I was too afraid to grieve, and now I'm here because I finally realized I need to mourn what I lost, all of it." She cried through the entire session. I said nothing. Afterwards, she approached me in the parking lot. "I didn't know you'd be here. I can find another group." "Stay," I said. "You need this." "Dad, I'm not ready to talk, but you're allowed to be here." She nodded and got in her car, and I sat in mine for an hour, shaking before I could drive home. Dr. Hayes asked me why I didn't leave the group. Because she's grieving too, and I'm not cruel enough to take that away from her. That's growth, David. It doesn't feel like growth. It feels like I'm still punishing both of us. Maybe you are, but maybe that's part of healing too. 2 years after Linda died, Jessica sent a check, $60,000, the full amount of her fine. Paid in full. Took me 2 years of double shifts and selling everything I owned, but I did it. I'm not asking for anything. I just wanted you to know I kept my word. Jay. I called her for the first time in 2 years. I got the check. Silence. Then, "Dad? You paid all of it." I said I would. "Why?" "Because you were right. I stole from you. I needed to make it right. You could have declared bankruptcy." "I could have, but then I'd be the person who stole from her father and didn't pay it back. I'm trying not to be her anymore." I sat with that. "Are you still in therapy?" "Every week." "Good." More silence. "Dad, do you think we'll ever—" "I don't know, but this is a start." I hung up and cried for the first time in months. Not because I'd forgiven her, but because I finally believed she might deserve it someday. 3 years after Linda died, I remarried. Her name's Susan. We met at a woodworking class I'd been starting to fill the time. She'd lost her husband 6 years ago, understood grief, understood that some things never heal, they just scar over. I told her everything on our 4th date, about Linda, about Jessica, about the trial. "Will you invite your daughter to the wedding?" she asked. "I don't know if I'm ready." "Then don't. But David, eventually you'll have to decide if you want a relationship with her or if you want to be right. You can't have both." I didn't invite Jessica to the wedding, but I sent her a photo afterwards, me and Susan cutting cake, smiling. She responded immediately, "I'm happy for you, Dad. You deserve this. Love, Jessica." 3 words I hadn't heard from her in 3 years. "I love you." I called her that night. "Thank you for the message." "Of course. She seems wonderful." "She is." Awkward silence. "Jessica, I'm not ready for you to be in my life again. Not fully. But I don't want you gone either." "What does that mean?" "It means we're going to therapy together, once a month, with Dr. Hayes, and we're going to figure out if there's anything left to save." She started crying. "Really?" "Really. But if you miss one session, we're done.
And if you ever lie to me again, we're done. Understood? Understood. First session is next Thursday, 2 p.m. I'll be there.
That was 9 months ago. We've been to 8 sessions. It's awkward, painful. Some weeks I don't want to go. But we're going because Dr. Hayes asked me what I wanted my life to look like in 5 years. And I realized I don't want to die having never forgiven my daughter. But I also don't want to pretend she tried to rob me at my wife's funeral. So we're doing this impossible thing, building something new from the rubble of what she destroyed. It's not a mother-daughter relationship. Linda's gone and nothing replaces that. It's not the father-daughter relationship we had before Linda. That died with Linda too. It's something else. Something careful and conditional, and probably always a little broken. But it's something. Last week, Jessica asked if she could come to Susan's birthday dinner. Just dinner. I'll leave after. I won't overstay. I asked Susan. It's your family, David. Your choice. You're my family now, too. Then let's both decide. We said yes. Jessica came, brought flowers, stayed for exactly 90 minutes, thanked us for including her, and left. After she was gone, Susan asked, "How did that feel?" Like having a stranger in my house who used to be my daughter. Is that progress? I think so, because a year ago I wouldn't have let her in at all. My name is David Morrison. 3 years ago, my wife died and my daughter tried to steal everything I had. I destroyed her life in return. And now we're both trying to figure out if people who hurt each other that badly can ever find their way back. I don't know the answer. Some days I think we're making progress. Other days I look at her and see the woman who packed my wife's dishes into boxes marked donate, and I feel nothing but anger. But I keep showing up to therapy, keep answering her calls, keep trying. Not because I've forgiven her, but because Linda wouldn't want me to die alone and angry at the daughter we raised together, even if that daughter broke both our hearts. Last session, Dr. Hayes asked Jessica, "What do you want from your father?" I want him to look at me without remembering what I did. Will that ever happen? No, but maybe someday he'll remember other things too. Then she asked me, "What do you want from Jessica?" I want to trust her again. Will that ever happen? I looked at my daughter, at the woman who'd stolen from me and lied to me and tried to erase me, at the girl who used to fall asleep on my shoulder during car rides. Ask me in 5 years. Yesterday was Linda's birthday. Jessica and I went to her grave together for the first time. We didn't talk much, just stood there, each holding flowers, each with our own grief. Finally, Jessica said, "I'm sorry I wasn't there when she died. I'm sorry you missed it. Do you think she'd forgive me?" I thought about Linda, about her capacity for love and her limits for betrayal. I think she'd make you earn it, just like I am. Jessica nodded. We put the flowers down, and we stood there together, not as father and daughter the way we used to be, but as two people who'd hurt each other and were trying impossibly to heal. It's not forgiveness. It's not reconciliation. It's just coexistence. And maybe someday that'll be enough.